What's your blood alcohol content?
How did you get camo Jordans?
They make them. Is it not a word? Dude, it is a word. You harken back.
You harking back.
No, you
right?
do not. I was useless.
Wait, hold on. Delonica?
I'm hurting, man.
Are you puking? Did you just bust out a Sargento?
We're a Tillamook family.
What's the proper technique to milk the teat? If they are competing for state championships, they ain't paying for their blizzards. Hey, y'all, welcome to the Marty Smith podcast. It is early Monday morning, March 21st. The fellas are being malleable. It's a really fancy,
What does that mean?
multisyllabic word that means flexible. I think it might actually have something to do with metal. I don't know. But what it means is the fellas are being flexible with me. It's been quite a week. Been a great week for me. Laney is in Las Vegas, Nevada, throwing down. Mom's gone wild. And Martin has been home with the Rugrats doing his thing.
How are you doing it, man? Are you just trying to keep them alive? Is that the goal? Is that the floor?
This is how we have to start episode 46, or whatever it is, of the Marty Smith podcast here at Outsider is thank you to all the stay-at-home moms out there, all the moms doing the hardest job in the world. And it annoys Laney when dads are doing like Mr. Mom. It annoys Laney that guys always mention it. It annoys Laney that we act like we deserve some sort of ribbon or medal for doing Mr. Mom work when it's just like that's what they do. And they do it amazingly well. They have such great understanding of what the kids' schedules are. They have amazing understanding and foresight about what meals they're going to eat. They have tremendous understanding of printing the homework, helping assist with the homework, and facilitating getting the homework done in a timely and acceptable fashion. They know that this kid has to be here at this time. We have to have that one over there. They have this on this day. It's just amazing. It's brilliant. So shout out to all of y'all. All of y'all. As I wrote in Never Settle in my book, it's the most important, most underappreciated role that there is. And y'all are amazing. So we're going to start with that. And Laney, I'm sorry I brought it up, honey. But that's what guys do. We feel like we deserve some sort of pats on the back, and I'm going to give myself one.
What have you done to earn it, Marty?
Well, they're still breathing. All of them made their way to school today, and they have food in their bellies. They all were where they were supposed to be when they were supposed to be there, and the reason that we're doing the podcast right now at this exact moment is it's the one window that I have. I've gotten carpool out of the way this morning, but Mia has an orthodontic appointment at 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time, so I have to be very judicious and precise with the time I have allotted. And so I drug you two out of bed and made sure that we got this thing handled. By the way, time for
You're talking about Travis and I like we're like camp sharing a bunk bed at camp or something. We're ready to go, man. We're professionals.
Well, Travis is hungover right now. He looks like he's walked through a tornadic event. And,
what happened?
I mean, maybe you're a dad, so you probably had things you needed to do this morning. All Travis had to do was knock off the partly cloudy cobwebs from being down on Broadway at Aldean's and the old Smoky Moonshine Distillery for days on end. But I'm sure that you probably had to do dad things this morning.
The big challenge is the daylight savings time. In her brain, it's still like whatever time she used to wake up. So instead of having to wake up early, I'm up, but now I'm kind of like waiting on her to wake up because of daylight savings. Or what is this, daylight spendings? What do we call this one when you move ahead?
I don't know, but I'm spending a lot more than I used to be. That's for damn sure. I watched 60 Minutes last night. I love 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes is an awesome show. Learned a whole lot about how the American decision to impact the Russian economy actually operates. Pretty fascinating. And then I also learned that, why everything is so much more expensive right now than it was like 2 or 3 months ago. Anyway, that's an aside. I noticed on St. Patrick's Day that you went super dad mode and made your sweet little girl green grits rather than Travis just puked in his mouth. That was pretty aggressive,
Why?
Wes.
Why is that
Because
aggressive?
you're making like all of us are just doing our damn dead level best to get them out the door, and here you are, Captain Tryhard, making us all look useless, like we're bad dads.
Well, it's what my mom did for me. I was born in Savannah, lived there until I was about 5, and they celebrate St. Patrick's Day pretty hard down there, and it's just what I knew to do. I'm not going to make her green beer.
Why? So speaking of Savannah and speaking of beer, coming up at the end of the podcast, we have an awesome announcement, and we will let y'all stew on what that announcement might be. Those are your clues. Savannah and cold beer. Those are the clues of our big announcement coming up at the end of the podcast. But before we get there, we have a couple things that we need to discuss. So the NCAA tournament has made its way to the Sweet 16. I don't use Twitter very much. I hate it. I try to stay away from it. I've deleted it off my phone. But I had a moment of weakness this weekend when I really noticed, because I was not covering any games for the first time in quite some time, and I took my girls to the H2 bar over here on Sunday, had a couple cold beers. The girls had a little ice cream, and a lot of games were on. The NIT was on ESPN. The NCAA tournament was on CBS. I'm watching Dayton and Vandy in the NIT. I'm watching Travis's The Ohio State Buckeyes. He just disappeared from the screen. I'm sure you guys can understand why, but I was watching his Buckeyes, and where I'm going with this is I really noticed for the first time the pullovers. And I went on the tweeter machine in a tremendous moment of weakness, and I posed the question, as it pertains to coaching wardrobes, do y'all like suited and booted, or do you like either polo or quarter zip? I can't believe what a polarizing question this was, first of all. Hundreds and hundreds of responses. Travis, look up right now how many responses it is. When I went to bed last night and turned my computer off, it was like 200 or something. It might be twice that now for all I know. What do you got?
370.
370 responses to this question. And when I looked last night before I went to bed, it was something, this is a guesstimate, 70-30, maybe 80-20, quarter zips over suits. So, Wesley,
That's shocking.
I pose to you
Really?
the question, are you suited and booted, or are you quarter zip?
If I'm a coach, I'm going to wear a suit, because that just means that the school is going to buy me more suits.
I do wonder.
Give me a budget to buy my own suits.
To your question.
And probably cover my dry cleaning.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the suits, selfishly.
To your point, I imagine every one of these coaches, especially at the Power 5 level, have clothing allowances built into their contracts. Maybe not. I don't know. But if they don't have them built into their contracts, they have suit deals. So, I don't know, man.
You're already getting the jumpsuits, I think is my thinking, from the equipment department, right? So why not expand the boundaries a little bit and get yourself a sharp suit, get some nice ties, get a nice little pin, All the coaches wear a pin. But if you're going for comfort, I guess it really depends on your coaching style. Like
It's
Tennessee,
interesting.
Rick Barnes, he's kind of stoic, He's standing there watching Tennessee lose. Bruce Pearl is a little bit more active. So he's going to be jumping around watching Auburn lose. So it just kind of depends on what you're going for on the sideline.
So what's funny to me is that basketball is the sport here that has been impacted by this. All this happened during COVID, when the people weren't going to their office anymore. Everybody's using Zoom. Nobody's getting dressed up anymore. Suits are on their way out, etc.
I don't even wear pants to record this podcast.
Well, you do have a jersey on, which leads me to my next question in just a moment.
Let's stay. Yeah. Okay.
So you've done this podcast with me long enough to know that squirrel, like I'm woo-saw. I'm so easily distracted. So, and I've completely lost my train of thought. So
COVID,
basketball
athleisure,
basketball coaches for years and years and decades have worn suits, and they look so sharp. Now, the vast majority of them have on the quarter zip and the nice slacks and the running shoes that are equipment staff issued. In fact, I mean, Jimmy Dykes, Carl Ravitch, and me were pretty much the only people in the arena wearing suits other than Buzz Williams in any game we covered this season. There were a couple where John Calipari went suit, but he, most of the time, I think, had on his quarter zip. Anyway, what if college basketball coaches went the way of the baseball manager and just put on a pair of way too tight shorts and a way too tight jersey and some running tights and a pair of Kyrie Irving sixes, and
Marty,
we're coaching that way?
This is my thing, right? You know this is my thing? Like,
I don't know this is your thing.
You know
No,
this is my
explain.
soapbox? I've been saying for every sport, the coach needs to dress up like the player like they do in baseball. They need
I did not
to
know
have
this.
the
Explain.
Yes. Okay. I've been saying it for years, but Paul Feinbaum put out a tweet and said, if you were the college football commissioner, what would your rule be? And I said, every college football coach, staff member, trainer, water boy, water girl, whatever, needs to have full pads on and a helmet.
And why do you feel this way? Why is this the hill you're willing to die on?
I think baseball has it right. I think it's team
it's
unity. You're looking in the dugout. You know the coach is going through the same thing that you are.
Which is having your Frankenbeans squeezed into oblivion by those tight pants. That's what you're telling me?
Team unity, Marty.
Well, I want to say that I'm team suit, and I say that because I'm the one guy that has to wear a suit at all these basketball games, but I'm also conflicted because I'm also the guy that has a television program in a studio on ESPN where we wear hoodies and hats. So I am speaking out of both sides. I'm fully aware of that, and so I guess I can't really even be Switzerland anymore. Switzerland's days of being neutral are over.
That's the next 60-minute story. And then in the B block, it's going to be this college basketball coach is breaking ground by wearing his team's uniform to the game.
Darius Nichols is the head basketball coach at Radford University. I think he was the very first responder to my tweeter question, and he said Radford quarter zip. So, Darius, I am now challenging you next season. I got to see you in full uniform. Darius was an amazing player for Bob Huggins at West Virginia, so he knows the deal. I want to see the entire Radford staff in the in the Russell Westbrook running tights and in the full Radford uniform. That leads me to the next topic regarding wardrobe, and we did not plan this, but Wes has played right into the story by showing up in a Cal Ripken Jr. jersey and making the decision for me that we have to discuss this. Charles Barkley and Kenny the Jet Smith on their CBS.
This is not.
Oh, I thought that was a Baltimore Orioles jersey. I know you're a huge Rafael Palmeiro fan. So they said that grown men should not wear jerseys.
I've heard
I
this.
presume that means fans. You know, they were grown men and they wore jerseys as players. But where are you with going to the game? You're going to support your Baltimore Orioles or your Tennessee Volunteers, Wes.
Yeah.
What are you? Are you full jersey all the time?
Hell no. Now listen, I'll say this.
Is that a Dale Murphy jersey? Who is that?
No, there's no name on the back.
Oh, that takes it to a whole other level. If it's just a blank canvas on the back, that's a different equation entirely.
It's just the cream. It's kind of that old school cream Braves thing, but I don't know. It's got a room for some patches on the back. Can put my name on it, I guess. So I'm wearing this today because I saw a kid on Friday walking around Georgia's campus. First day of spring training for the Braves, and this cat is wearing a Braves jersey, walking around campus with his backpack on, like you used to do in middle school to celebrate the kickoff of the real season. This is how amped this kid was, and I just wanted to channel him a little bit, and I don't know who he is, but he's my new unofficial hero, so I hope he's listening.
Is that because they've reached an agreement and there's actually going to be baseball and he's that happy?
I think
Was he?
Well, it's probably, the theme of the episode is solidarity. I think he's in solidarity with the club after the way all the Freddie Freeman stuff went down. And I am too. But anyways, moving on. We're on to 2022. We got baseball. We don't have Freddie Freeman, but we have a lot of other guys, so it'll be fine.
So
as far as the
your team jersey
to the game goes, I did wear Rodrigo Blankenship jersey to the national championship, but that's because my last name is also Blankenship. So it had a lot more to do with that than me being a jersey guy. I also did wear this Brave shirt to the one World Series game I went to, but it was more like a layer. It's kind of thick. So it's more like a layer that also supports the team. I'm not a jersey guy. Despite my decisions at those two key games, I'm not a jersey guy. And I'm kind of with Chuck on that. I think you can't just be a full-time jersey guy fan past, I don't know, maybe the age of 26, probably 26.
Do you think age 26 is the line of demarcation of losing the jersey? That's pretty advanced in age in my estimation. But
what do you think it is?
I have no qualms. I don't care if you're 65. If you love Joe Burrow, by God, wear the 9. I don't care.
Or if you're Coach O, don't even wear a damn shirt.
I love Michael Jordan. I have an OG champion, Team USA Dream Team, original mesh, not this new fancy pants mesh, the real mesh that scratched your nipples off mesh. Michael Jordan, number 9, Dream Team jersey. And I don't care. I'll wear that thing to the bar. I'm going to have to ask Chuck. I'm going to text Charles Barkley and I'm going to ask him. I need your rationale why grown-ass men should not wear jerseys. Because I want to know the reason.
So you're saying you go jersey with no shirt underneath?
I would.
You have to at least meet me in the middle here. If you're an advanced age jersey guy, you got to wear something underneath, man. No one wants to see.
Not if you're fit. Everything's contextual.
Yeah, if you're fit, then you're probably just doing it to show off, which that's also your right as an American to do that. But you need to have some self-awareness. You got to have that buddy that says, hey, man, come over here. Let's go get you a T-shirt to put under that Charles Barkley jersey you're wearing to the Auburn game to watch us lose to Miami. Let's reconcile this a little bit.
Is it kind of like when your buddy's balding a little bit and you're like, listen, bro, it's time to come home. It's time to come home and just stop trying. Look, you're going more and more and more and more fine balm on a daily basis.
Or
let's go ahead and make sure we just bring it on.
Or hey, man, I got to sit beside you when you put your hands up to signal for the team to play tough defense, and you don't have any shirt on. There's no barrier between your
smell like a hoagie.
pits and my nose. So please, let's go fix this at halftime.
Well, the one thing too, there's another variable here too, especially in basketball season when it's wintertime. I'm so pale, I'm translucent. So me putting on the jersey with no sleeves, it's pretty unfortunate. Like I have this ring light thing up here that is glowing in my face. That's how, if I took my shirt off, I could welcome the ships home. I could just stand there on the shoreline like a lighthouse and bring them home. Yes, I'm like Odysseus in the Iliad and the Odyssey. Sirens calling the ships home with my luminescence. Like, let's hop into the tournament real quick.
Let's do a re-rack then. So here's who's left, Marty, as we record this today. Gonzaga, Arkansas, Texas Tech, Duke, UNC, UCLA, Purdue, Peacocks, Miami, Iowa State. Now that's a meteorological matchup right there between the Hurricanes and the Cyclones. Providence, Kansas, Villanova, Michigan, Arizona, Houston. Who do you feel the best about right now?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'll leave all that to Seth Greenberg and those guys. I'm just terrible at it. It's why anytime that anybody asks me, and I get asked every single weekend at college football stadiums all over the country, hey, who's going to win? I don't know. I don't have any clue who's going to win. They pay Herb Street and Desmond Howard all in millions of dollars to pick the games. They pay me to make a coach talk. So there's that. They pay me to make Wes Blankenship give us crack analysis like, man, that is a hell of a meteorological matchup between the Cyclones and the Hurricanes.
Who do you think would win?
It's good stuff. Between Cyclones and Hurricanes? I mean, what is a cyclone? Is
I thought
like
it was a tornado.
What is that?
But I think it's actually a bunch of little tornadoes. So,
well, okay, hold on. Let me Google what a cyclone is. Wait just a minute. This is very important.
Because their mascot logo is a bird like wearing a tornado.
A cyclone is a large air mass that rotates around a strong center of low atmospheric pressure counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere as viewed from above, opposite to an anticyclone. Cyclones are characterized by inward spiraling winds that rotate about a zone of low pressure.
Sounds like a hurricane to me.
I mean, sounds like a hurricane to me too. I mean, excuse me, a tornado. I mean, I don't know. This is interesting. Cyclones have also been seen on extraterrestrial planets like Mars, Jupiter, and Neptune. Cyclogenesis is the process of cyclone formation and intensification. Extratropical cyclones begin as waves in large regions of enhanced mid-latitude temperature contrasts called baroclinic zones. It's a lot going on there. I mean, I don't know. It sounds baroclinic. I'm sure there's a different way to pronounce that.
I'm going with Cyclones because
I don't know. They're both pretty catastrophic, man.
I'm going with Cyclones.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one I would choose. There's the moisture is involved in the hurricane too. So you got to play the aftermath into it. I got to give credit where it's due, though. Those Ohio State uniforms were absolute gasoline. They were so clean. I love the red with the gray stripe down the side. Just looked awesome. Those were great uniforms. So kudos to the equipment staff and those at Nike who designed it. All right, I figure it's time that we get to our interview. We were joined very recently by Brandon Davis, who had such a unique moment where he was in the middle of doing some work and a telephone rang. And when the telephone rang, it changed his life. You'll hear about it in just a second. Here is Brandon Davis, budding country music star, on the Marty Smith Podcast. It's an awesome pleasure to welcome Brandon Davis to the Marty Smith Podcast. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, buddy. How about you?
I'm good. I want to start with, we'll get to your whole how this happened in a little bit. I know you've discussed it a lot, but I want to talk about social media first. I have the most ardent love-hate relationship with social media you could ever imagine. I struggle with it. I'm not going to lie. In a lot of ways, I can't stand how keyboard cowboys have a platform and all those things. But I also know that there's a lot of redeeming factors to it. There's a lot of good that comes from it. So how would you describe the impact social media has had on your life?
You know, it took a while for me to really wrap my head around it because I'm not the social media wizard. My wife has really she's got the brains for all that. She knows what she's doing, and I'm very fortunate that she does. But what we found was that early on we really had to find a niche, because even when all this first geared up, we were taking the same avenue as anybody else. We tried posting to like Facebook and YouTube, but I mean, we weren't really hitting any specific target audience, so we weren't getting a whole lot of traction right out of the gate. But when we found the short form of social media, short form videos and, ways to keep people's attention for, a couple of seconds, it made it a lot easier to transition into, because now you can find an audience that you can grab their attention quick, get your message across a little bit quicker, and give them something that they say, hey, I liked it. Maybe I want to come back. Let's hit the follow button and see what happens next. And for music, that's been amazing, because it's a way to share songs that you want people to hear that otherwise they probably wouldn't have, ways you can, just interact in everyday life. And that's what we love about how we go about our social medias. We don't try to put any kind of bells and whistles or anything on that. We have a crazy household. It's a chaotic mess. We got children running around everywhere, and we're constantly on the go and moving. And I don't think there's ever a moment where we're not in some kind of busy state, whether it be trying to keep the kids going, get them to school, make the day happen, or keeping the music pumping. But that's what's been amazing about this, is we just get to share who we are. And social media has been a powerful aspect to do that. And in doing so, we've been able to grow this music to a level that if you'd have talked to me here about a year and a half ago, I'd have never believed you. It is to say that this music would take off like it has, and all because of the power that social media has. And now everybody's kind of gotten on the same playing field between Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, TikTok, even videos you share through Twitter and a few other short-form content apps that we've kind of danced with. It's crazy the amount of access you have to really reach out to people.
TikTok's taking country music by storm. I've talked to so many artists. Even your like 90s country stars, like Clay Walker told me, Travis Tritt told me, these guys have taken to this, and it's given them this crazy kind of rebirth in a younger demo. Yep. Why is that working for y'all?
To know the exact answer, I couldn't tell you, but it's because people are able to, in my mind, with these kind of videos, they're able to connect on a level that used to feel like it was unattainable. So
connect how? Like, why are they connecting to it?
Well, you've got direct access to be able to go to these pages through like short stories that are on Facebook and Instagram, or being able to see, kind of a behind the curtains view on stuff like the short videos that we post on TikTok. Like I say, it's everyday life for us. And I've looked at a lot of Clay Walker's stuff, and he's got the same thing. It's just sharing who you are and what you do. And that gives fans a whole new way to connect with you that otherwise they're like, well, here's this guy on an album cover, that I might get to meet one day if I go to a concert and get lucky or get a VIP pass. Whereas now they're saying, hey, here's this guy that I listen to every day. Look, this is him riding around in his truck, stopping and, getting a Coke at the gas station, or this is the female artist that I idolize, and this is her showing me how she gets her day started with a cup of coffee. Like this is a whole new level of experience that I feel like everyone has really taken to, both on the artist side and on the fan side, because it gives us a way to cross that boundary of, hey, you're a part of this just as much as we are. We wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. And thankfully, it's really worked out for countless artists, especially over the time that I've seen just in the year and a half we've been doing it.
Dude, you got like, what is it? It's 1.7 million or 8 or however many TikTok
Something
followers
like
you have. All right. I'm going to call it 2 million. We'll call it 2 million. Okay. Why does a guy have 2 million TikTok followers and 200 Twitter followers? Like what? Explain this to me. I don't get it.
Yeah, don't ask me. I've yet to figure out Twitter. Me and Twitter don't get along.
I hate
often.
it too.
And I think it's a big fault on my part, because I still don't. If you told me right now to tell you what my Twitter handle is, I couldn't tell you. It's a nightmare. We try to keep up with it, but we're hoping Twitter comes around. We'll give it its fair shot once we figure out a nice avenue.
What is the pressure to continue to feed the beast? When you've built something on social media, you just said it, there's this anticipation that we're going to get to see Brandon Davis go get his coffee. There's this anticipation that we're going to get to see him as a dad and a husband. That then becomes a lifestyle. That then becomes an expectation from the viewer. So what's your perspective on that? Pressure may be the wrong word, but what's the emphasis on feeding the beast?
I mean, the big thing is people want to stay connected, and people want to know that as you're growing, that they can grow with you. And that's what we enjoy about it so much, is that it's not, diving so deep into this and having to like gruel over, oh, well, what are we going to do for this or that or the other? What are we going to film today? What pictures do we need to take? It's just, hey, we're doing this anyway. We're taking family pictures all the time. We're, trying to keep track of life. That way the kids can look back on it as they get older, and stuff that we can make memories on today and look back on later. And it's just sharing that with folks and just saying, hey, look, this is who we are. We hope you enjoy it. Here's your daily dose of what's going on at our house. And it goes from being something that puts you under pressure to just being, hey, it's just like texting or calling mama. Hey, here's how are you? Here's how we're doing today. And same thing, except we've got however many people that are watching it on a daily basis, whether it's through stories or videos that we post. And now we've got shows that we're connecting through to all these people in countless different cities. So it helps carry from not only a digital perspective, but to that in-person relationship that you eventually get to have, because all these people finally know that you exist. And that's something that I never thought was going to happen in the first place. Was, hometown folks, they might know who you are, but for me to be able to drive to a place like Trenton, Florida, or to we're going to be flying to Bakersfield, California here soon, and to know that there's people that are coming to these shows that know who I am, and it's folks I've never met. That's an amazing part, and it's all because of the power that social media has been able to bring to this.
One of those people is Tim McGraw, dude. All right, that's Tim McGraw, man. It's Tim McGraw. How do you react when, first of all, yeah, I mean, how, you're still trying to wrap your head around it, right? Like, how do you react when, first of all, wait a minute, Tim McGraw knows who I am. Wait a minute, Tim McGraw obviously knows what I'm doing. And wait a minute, Tim McGraw wants me to open for him at a show or shows? Okay, try to wrap your head around it for me. What is that?
Man, it's like taking everything you dream of as a kid, tying it up, and putting it right there in front of you on the table and saying, if you open that right there, everything that you've been longing for in this industry, in this, dream of a career you've been trying to make, everything you're wanting to get it kicked off and started is right there. All you got to do is unwrap it and tell me how you feel. And then you unwrap it and you look at it and you're speechless because it's something you didn't expect to ever have. It's the gift that you always want for and never expect to get. And once you have it, you take it and you run with it, and you just thank your lucky stars and God over and over, because it's in that moment when I got that phone call, like there was some steps leading up to it that showed me that Tim McGraw had seen our socials between him commenting and his management had showed up to a few shows and were talking to us saying that, oh yeah, man, we love this song and this song. You know, Destiny's an amazing tune. We love being able to see what you got. Y'all really got a good thing going, and we love the hard work. And to hear that this whole team of people that are, you know, working for an artist that I have idolized since I was, you know, knee high.
All of us have.
It's just insane to know that that guy wants to, number one, be involved in anything that I've got going, and be able to know that he's going to bring me in to be a part of what he's got going. So it's a next level thing that thankfully it's happened, and I'm still trying to make sure that nobody's going to like pinch me, punch me, or knock me over, and I'm going to wake up. And thus far we're on a good track for that. But the hardest part was trying to figure out what to say on that phone call because I couldn't get words.
Walk me through it. Walk me through it, Brandon. What did he say? How did you answer the phone? Were you puckered up? Were you nervous? What are we doing here?
I knew I was getting a phone call. I just didn't know who from or what for. I just got told, you're going to get a phone call. It's going to come from a block number. If you don't answer it, or if you don't answer block numbers today, you answer it. Doesn't matter what time of day it is, you answer it. Here's a window to expect it in, but do not answer the phone. And I had just started a co-write with two other folks, and I was sitting on a Zoom, and all of a sudden my phone rings, and I look, it's a block number. And I'd told them before, I was like, I'm supposed to be getting a phone call. I don't know when. Just if I get a phone call and have to duck out, if y'all don't care, I'm going to mute mine. Y'all mute, and I'm going to take over here and, you know, do what I got to do. When I got that phone call, my heart sunk down to my ankles. I was like, okay, it's supposed to be important. So I muted, took off, and my wife ran up here because I was like, it's ringing. I don't know who it is. Just get up here. Let's go. And she broke out the camera because we were told to make sure we caught it all on camera. We didn't want to miss these memories. They said it's something you're going to want to look back on, whether you know it or not. And when I answered the phone, I get, hey, Brandon, it's Tim McGraw. And I think the only two words that came out were "holy crap." Not what you not the first words you want to say to Tim McGraw, but that's all I could think. Like that, I was completely drawing a blank on anything else to say, and the next few words after he asked to go on tour was just absolutely. Like there's no question here, just 100%. I will go. You tell me where we're going, what time to be there, and I will be there. However I got to get it. And man, I could have done. I'm not a very agile person, but I could have done backflips. I mean, just literally trying to wrap my head around the fact that someone I was listening to sing what I called the barbecue stain song in my mama's car, riding around in the summertime, just called me on the phone and said, do you want to go on tour? So I had to gain my composure, obviously, after that, because I was still on a co-write that I had to now act like nothing had happened for and come back and sit down, be completely fine. And
you didn't tell him?
No, I couldn't, man. I had to keep it under wraps. Had to keep it under wraps till everything was, ready to rock and roll. And I came back, sat down. I was like, they're like, you good? And I was like, yeah. Phone call's over. Got off the Zoom right, and for the next 2 days, really had to let it sink in that this was reality, and it was actually happening. And keep a lid on it until it was all ready to be announced. And now that I've been able to share it, it's been unreal.
Before we get to your story, it's one thing to try to process something in the moment. It's a whole other thing to process something in the aftermath. And I wonder when you're sitting around talking to your wife and you're discussing the fact that you're going to go on tour with an absolute, you're talking legend of legends. He might be Tim McGraw and Jason Aldean are two of the greatest song pickers. Like, they know a hit. Those dudes know a hit when they hear it. Both of them. Ever. And you're going to be with this cat on the road. Like, what are you saying to your wife about this?
Man,
Don't Wake Me Up?
pretty much. That's it in a nutshell. It's like, I think the following minute or so, when I was trying to just kind of let it all out before I hopped back on that call, all I could say was over and over again, "We're going on tour with Tim McGraw." She goes, "I know." I was like, "No, you don't. We're going on tour with Tim McGraw." I was like, "I don't get it. Like, how did this actually happen?" And man, it was like that and it still is. But for the first few days, I was reeling over it. Like, how in the world have we went from posting a few videos on TikTok to going on tour with the Tim McGraw? It's unreal, man. It's crazy to see how this journey has carried so far, and the fact that it's still got more to go.
What should people, well, maybe I should ask that in a minute. First, there's going to be people that don't know what your last 3 years are that are listening to this or watching this. There's going to be people who are like, okay, where'd this guy come from? Give us a synopsis of how this happened, like how you got to the place where you even decided, okay, I'm going to chase the country music dream.
Man, I mean, I grew up with it all around me because my mama and papa were like a gospel Johnny and June, and they traveled from church to church singing, and that got passed down to my dad and my uncle, and they played in gospel groups and country groups all throughout their lifetime. My dad actually opened for Garth Brooks before he was really Garth Brooks back in '88.
I read that.
And still got the hat from that night, waiting for a day I get to break that puppy out.
Garth's hat or your daddy's?
My dad's. It's the hat he wore. He only wore it one time. My dad was not a hat guy. He wasn't a cowboy hat guy, but he bought a Resist-style cowboy hat just for the night he was going to open for Garth Brooks because he didn't know who the guy was. He wanted to look the part when he got up on stage, and spent $110 on a Resist-style feather cap, and I've still got that thing sitting here in the closet. But no, I mean, he really instilled it into me earlier because he had such a joy that he found in it between playing gospel and playing country. And when I got old enough to understand that it was more than just, listening to a song on the radio, he started saying, "Look, I wrote all these songs. Here's a little black box that's got everything that I've ever wrote sitting in there stapled up." And he's like, "If you ever want to write a song, we'll sit down and I'll try to talk you through how to do it." And didn't really hit right at that moment, but we were driving down the road and he was telling me that he had found a Vern Gosdin CD he wanted to put in the truck. He turned on the song Chiseled in Stone. He said, back in the 80s when this song came out, he said, I heard it come on the radio and I pulled over to the side of the road because he said I was drawn to it and I couldn't focus on anything else. He said, this song tells such a powerful story. He said, and I want you to listen to it and listen to the message that it brings across.
The voice.
Yep, the voice himself. And I listened to that thing, and I don't think I've played a song on repeat right out of the gate so much because the message my dad had told me with it really stuck. And I looked at my dad not too long after that. I guess I was in 8th grade. I said, I want to write a song. I said, well, figure out what you want to write about. And I think the first one, I was a big Dukes of Hazzard fan, so the first song was called like Big Moonshine Running Son of a Guns. It wasn't very good, but it was my break-in, and I was hooked. That was all I wanted to do was write songs. And luckily it wasn't just writing songs, it was playing baseball. And I played baseball from the time I was 4 years old all the way into college, playing music all at the same and playing for a little family band that we had for a course of about 10 years until 2020 hit. But the break into music was really just me saying, look, I haven't chased any of these dreams yet. And I needed that moment to really say, hey, take what you haven't done and do it. And for me, that moment was in 2019. I had met my wife. I had my oldest 2 kids and my 2-year-old with a little man that's crawling back here behind me on the way.
Hey, buddy.
He just woke up from his nap. Hey, man. But we were expecting him come that July, and I got in a pretty bad car wreck, and it was life-threatening. Had to go have life-saving surgery, and she spent the next 5 days beside me, and I couldn't help but think, like, look, why am I here? I don't get why this had to happen, what this moment had any significance to me, and why I was the one that had to go through it. She said, you don't realize it now why you went through it, but you're going to. It might take a minute, but God has a plan in everything, even if the plan isn't exactly what you think it is right at that point in time. And she was right, because all I could sit there and think was like, look, in the blink of an eye, like everything could have been gone. Everything I had, everything I wanted to do, I wouldn't have had a chance to anymore. And we tell the kids every day, chase your dreams, reach for your goals, and don't let anybody stop you. But I was telling my kids this while I wasn't acting on it myself. I had settled in to say, look, I've got my college degree, I've got my wife, I've got my kids, and I'm just going to settle with that. That's all. I'm not going to push it any further. Anything else I have, we'll just table it and we'll move on. But I still wrote songs every day. I was still playing a little bit of adult baseball, but music was that drive. I was like, look, I really want somebody to hear these songs. I said, and I want to chase it. I was like, I about lost my chance too, and I don't want to make that mistake twice. She said, if you want to chase it, let's chase it. And that's exactly what we did, starting, like I said, through Facebook and YouTube, and had a moderate start, got some local gigs because of it. And pandemic hit, and we thought, well, they went our shot, because now everything that was kind of gearing us up to get out there and put our name out started to shut down. But she found TikTok, and that was the game changer. Because through that, she was saying, look, there's people promoting music. You need to get on here and post videos. And I just looked at her and said, nope, I'm not going to do it. I said, I can't do it. I've seen ads, man. It's like there's nothing but people trying to, like, do these crazy dances and be comedians. I was like, I got dad jokes, 2 left feet, and there ain't no way in the world that anything's going to take off for me there. She said, well, here, just think about it. Finally, she had me, like, cornered in the car on the Father's Day trip back home, and she said, I'm going to record you singing. I don't care what you sing, how much of it you sing. I'm just going to pull out the phone and you sing, and we'll see what happens. And she took 5 or 6 videos, posted them that night, didn't tell me what she was doing with them. And the next day, caught me trying to get water out of the fridge at about 10 o'clock at night. Come running up to me saying, baby, 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 sing Brad Paisley, sing Dierks Bentley, sing Chris Stapleton. And the next day, we woke up. She was like, hey, look, I've been posting your stuff on TikTok, and it's actually doing something. She goes, you've got 1,600 views on this video I made last night. It's like, well, that's really cool. I was like, the most views we'd had on YouTube at that point was like 500. And I said, what's the login? I'll get on and just see what it's about. I logged in, and it was a couple hours after that. I was sitting in my office, and I sent her a text. I said, have you checked this out? She goes, what do you mean? I said, that video you said was at 1,600. It's at like 20,000. She was like, oh, well, that's awesome. Next thing I know, that one shot off, and it was in the millions. And we had all these followers pouring in by the hundreds of thousands within a few weeks. And she said, look, right now is your moment. You have something that is taking off, and if you want to make this you want to make this dream a reality and actually push to the next level, this is your chance. She said, are we going to do it, or are we not? I said, let's do it. So we pushed forward, and I mean, the rest is kind of history. Thanks to it, we've been able to put out all these songs, and we've been able to, travel across the country playing this music all the way to the point that now we're going to be opening for Tim McGraw this year. Signed my first pub deal this past year. It's been insane, and it's because one moment kind of put things in perspective.
What song was it that did all those views? What'd you sing? Was it Paisley?
It was a culmination of a few different ones. I sang I'm Gonna Miss Her, Come a Little Closer Baby by Dierks Bentley.
Yep.
Memory Drowns a Whiskey by Aldean, Tennessee Whiskey by Stapleton, and Till My Last Day by Justin Moore.
Man, that's a good little medley right there, boss. No wonder it did 40 million views or however many it is.
Yeah, there's no telling. That video's way back in the log. I haven't been able to find it.
Nashville's a tough town, dude. It's tough to make it in Nashville. There's the most talented guy you've ever seen been slogging it 8 years trying to get a publishing deal, much less a record deal. What should your story tell us about how the industry is unfolding and evolving?
I think just the fact that they're paying attention, and they're paying attention in new ways, because they, just like all of us, they've seen the fact that we're in a very digital age compared to what we used to be, and there is an audience for that, because there's a lot of people that business and everything from business to pleasure, all of it is falling onto our technology through phones and TVs, tablets, and laptops. But it's because it's becoming an effective means to quickly communicate with one another and connect with each other. But they're seeing that, and they're saying, look, this younger generation, this is where they're falling. This is where we're going to find the audience that's connecting with them. Because if we keep running through the same aspect, maybe we're missing something. And that's where I think TikTok has really taken off, is they've said, look, there's a power behind this app that's bringing an audience to these folks. Because I mean, it's translating to shows, it's translating to streams on different music that we're releasing. And when you see something that's growing like that, why not be a part of it? And for us, it's just been, hey, we love doing it just for the fact that we get to literally work doing what we love. And that's not something that I really ever could say I did before this. I didn't get to do what I loved for a living. And now that's exactly what I do. And so we just make sure every day that we're pouring our heart into it and not just blindly taking at it just for the sake of doing so. We're giving it all of our effort. We're giving it, the true meaning behind the songs that we're trying to pour into everyone that we release. We're trying to make sure that those are connecting with fans and connecting with fans through social media with these songs and saying, look, I hope this is something that means as much to you as it does to me. Even if it's not my story, maybe it's a story you connect with. And social media has allowed for that. And I think big industry heads have really caught on quick to the fact that it's not going away.
I saw on YouTube how your wife reacted to being the girl in the song. Literally, the song's her name. But now that she's had a little time to process it, how's she doing with being the girl in the song?
She likes it a lot better than the time I told her I was going to get her name tattooed on me.
They're both forever, Brandon.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, I told her, I was like, you won't let me get your name tattooed. She goes, it's bad luck. I was like, all right, well, I'll find another way. She said, what do you mean you'll find another way? I said, don't worry, we'll find another way. And we sat down to write that one. And I told her, I was like, hey, you told me you had a project you were wanting to work on down there in the garage. Why don't you go down there while we're writing this song? I tried to keep it a secret, and luckily we did. We had to give it a code name, though, because obviously every time you sing the chorus, you're singing her name. And my buddy's like, well, what can we call it? I was like, I don't know, think of something. We got to have something we can sing that way it doesn't sound like it's about her. He said, okay, just call it Recipe. That's the closest I can think of off the top of my head. And so she kept asking me what this song was because we were getting it produced, and I had to go up to Nashville and cut vocals. She said, what are you doing? What is it even called? Can I at least have the name? I said, it's called Recipe. She said, Recipe? I was like, yeah, because it's still cooking. And man, honestly, it's the hardest thing to do, number one, to keep a secret from each other, because we're the kind that opens Christmas presents with each other 2 weeks early just because we don't want to wait until that day. It's eating at us that bad. And I held this song a secret for about 3 months before I finally had the master in hand. I think I was like in the middle of Texas on a road that I couldn't remember. And okay, baby. Yeah. But we were in the middle of Texas, and I pulled over into a Target parking lot. I said, I just saw an email notification come through, and I've got to show you this song. So I whipped over into the Target parking lot, set up my phone. I said, I got to get your reaction to this because I want to remember this moment. Trust me, you're going to love this. I said, and if you don't, I said, then I'm sorry for writing it like this. I was like, but I really think you're going to love it. And I played it, and it's literally just telling our story. And for her, it hit home immediately because this life that we've built, the career that we've built it's unconventional. It's not in the order it was supposed to be. None of it really happened like in a by the book kind of way. but it happened exactly how it was supposed to. And if I had to go back and, do it all crisscross ways and back and forth like I had to, I'd do it 10 times. And I'm thankful that we have that song to share for the rest of our life, showing people like, hey, look, this is who we are, this is how we do it, and exactly how it came to be. And there's still so many people saying, well, it's not just you. Like this describes how we feel about our relationship, or this talks about like, how my husband got involved with my kids' lives and so many different things. And it's amazing because even a personal song like that was really drawing in exactly my story to a T. And so many people have still shown that they can connect through it.
Well, it's also crazy. I mean, a couple more things I'll let you run, brother, but I saw that you were really moved by my boy, by Elvie Shane. He's a Marty Smith podcast alumnus and has become a buddy. And you have that same similar thing with Step by Step. It's the same kind of concept. And man, there are so many families who can relate to that. So many dads who can relate to, I love this woman, so I'm going to give everything I am to her children. It's an awesome message. Without that car wreck, are we talking right now?
I don't know, because like I said, it was a real moment of kind of clarity to show, look, man,
catalyst.
Life is short,
yeah.
And if there's anything you're wanting to do, you can't just wait around for it to happen. Because for years and years, I've wrote more songs than I can count, and there's some songs that I've wrote I don't even remember, but I kept thinking, I want somebody to just take these songs and use them. Somebody to say, hey, we love this and we want to put it out there for people to hear. And that was the long and short of it. I just wanted to be a songwriter that somebody wanted to sing these songs. And when I found out that there was a true avenue for me to make these songs part of how I grew as an artist, and not just share them with whoever wanted to sing them, but be the one singing them and sharing them that way, that put a whole new light into it. But without that moment, without knowing that in an instant I could have easily just been gone, I don't know. Because I tried to an extent to get there, and it hadn't really happened. It hadn't taken hold, and I just didn't know how to tackle it. It was a really gray area for me because music, there's so many people doing music every single day. And when you think about it, what makes me unique compared to all these other people that somebody's going to want to listen to me? And it's sometimes that's hard to find. But I think that moment really said, look, just be you. Don't try to be unique. Don't try to be something special. Just be yourself. Write music that is what you want to write and play out to an audience that either likes it or doesn't. And thankfully, people have shown us so much love that, we couldn't begin to put it into words how thankful we are.
Yep, authenticity is everything, man. Last thing, and I'll let you run, brother. We have a vision of what our dreams look like. Like in our mind, hey, I'm Brandon Davis. I'm this engineer or whatever you were doing. I want to be a country music. I want to be a songwriter, and man, I sure would love to have a career singing too. This is what that looks like. Well, now, as we achieve and as we go and do and learn and be and evolve, our dreams simultaneously grow and do and evolve. So what do they look like now as you're on the precipice of opening for Tim McGraw? Like, they've obviously grown now.
Absolutely. I mean, man, if you'd asked me years ago, this would have been the dream in itself. But looking at the fact of what all we've built, one big part for me is carrying this thing to where we can say, hey, look, so many people have listened to this music for so long. We've got fans in so many different areas that now we're going to take our own headline tour across this country. Or I think the big kind of milestone that I really am looking forward to hopefully one day hitting is that moment where they say, hey, you want to come play at the Grand Ole Opry? Because that's, for me, listening to Johnny Cash and Merle and Waylon and all these countless country heroes that I've really grew up between my dad showing me what he had and then ones I discovered on my own. That's a big spot for me. I've got a bottle of Kentucky bourbon sitting over here on the counter that's going to stay sealed until I finally get that chance one day. And I want to see the Opry stage, and I want to see a lifetime of music that I can look at my kids and say, look, I worked hard for this, and I'm blessed by it, and it's because of y'all and your mother that I was able to do it. And to be able to say that this is my life, this is what I do, and it's what I'm going to continue to do just because I love it and want to leave something behind that's going to leave a mark on people because they connected with it. Not just because it's something big and flashy, not just because it's a song that went viral, but because we left something on the table behind that microphone, inside of that guitar that's really connected with people on a different level.
I love it, brother. Congratulations on all your success. I certainly hope that it continues to flourish and grow. I love your spirit. I appreciate your humility, and I can't wait to see you out there on the road at some point, man. Have an awesome one. Thank you so much for your time, brother.
Hey, I appreciate it, brother. Y'all take it easy, and I appreciate you having me on.
Y'all know how much I can't stand social media, but I do understand its value. I understand that there's so much good that can come of it. Lives have changed for the better due to some social media. Oh, there is the alarm for Mia's orthodontic appointment. Hold, please. And folks like Brandon have used it to really grow their dreams. I look at it there. I mean, there's a lot of people who
We
have
had
done
Ashley
that.
Cook on here a few weeks ago.
Yes. I mean, I kind of look at Luke Combs, too. Luke really blew up when people started to see what he was doing on social media. And then, of course, he's Luke, so he just, continued to ascend. And, now he's one of the biggest stars in the format. And, Wes, if Tim McGraw called you out of nowhere and said, hey, I want you to come on tour with me, and you had to wait 48 hours to tell anybody, how would you do with containing that secret?
I'd probably just drive to the middle of the woods somewhere and just shout it to the trees and
I think I would just tell everybody. I think I would just tell everybody I knew. I'd call everybody I have and go, fellas, you ain't going to believe this. Can't tell anybody. All right, you got to keep this to yourself. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell your wife. Don't tell anybody. Do not, God knows, don't tell them. But, hey, Tim McGraw called me, and I'm going on tour with Tim McGraw. But don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. All right, you got to wait 2 days. That's what I would do.
Well,
I would have to tell everybody. How could you not? I don't know how he kept a secret.
it kind of sounds like you can sit on like some sports reporting knowledge. I'm sure you sat on some secrets. But when it comes to Tim McGraw, no, sir.
No, man. I would not. It's to me, that's different. Holy cow. I can't imagine what it would be like. I think back to, there's a famous, iconic, historically excellent broadcaster in NASCAR. His name's Chris Economaki. Chris was the standard by which every other reporter was measured for decades. And I was at Pocono makes me cry. I was at Pocono Raceway, I don't know, maybe 2009 or 10. I'm not sure the exact year, but in the media center at Pocono, in the main foyer area, upon entrance, there are these couches, and Mr. Economaki was sitting on one of those couches and asked me to come sit down, and he was up there in age at this time. I used to just love to sit with him and hear stories because, he was around in the heyday, man. 70s, 80s, and he knew all those great stories. And he asked me to sit down, so I sat down with him, and he was unbelievably complimentary about my evolution and my maturation. Because when I started covering NASCAR as a 22-year-old, I was wild as a mountain lion, man. I was out of my mind. I partied too much. I did the job, but I was out there living, man. And with age and with high definition, I had to really reel it in some. And so I did, and my craft became better as a result. And when he said that to me, it was this nod of validation and self-confidence that I didn't even know could exist. So I imagine that's probably how Brandon felt to a degree when somebody that he grew up admiring, idolizing in a lot of ways, gave him that validation. Hey, I think you're good. I think you're going to do really special things. I want you to be a part of something that I'm trying to do. And I really like your song. I really like your work. So, come on. So, that's the only thing I could think of that would even be remotely comparable. I've had athletes say that to me. I've had other people say, be complimentary of the work. And it's the greatest compliment because they don't owe you anything. They don't need anything from you. They're just sharing what they think. And it's wonderful. It's very fulfilling. Congratulations to Brandon. I hope he continues to thrive. And I think it's surprise time. We're going to go to, on April 3rd at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time in Augusta, Georgia, we are going to descend upon the Savannah River Brewing Company. We're going to go there. It is an amazing brewery. Mm-hmm. We're going to set up shop in there. We're going to do a live podcast from Savannah River. We're going to drink cold beer. We're going to hang out. We're going to preview the Masters. We'll talk about life, and we'll have a blast.
This is
we would love if you guys join us.
Savannah River Brewing Company, right across the highway from the Red Lobster. And
get you some cheddar biscuits and come on over and drink a cold beer with us. Or vice versa. We'd love to see y'all there. We're still working on who our guest is going to be. I'm going to try to get us a guest to come join us over there, whether it's a member of the media or a member of the industry. I don't know yet, but we're working on that now. But Wes, Travis, and I will be at the Savannah River Brewing Company. Again, it's 4:30, April 3rd. We are going to turn on the podcast machine and tape a podcast there. We will broadcast live to the assemblage at the Savannah River Brewing Company. I'm sure it will be spilling out the door. So make sure that you come hang out with us, get a cold beer or two, drink a beer with us. We'll talk ball. We'll talk life.
The more
Savannah River Brewing, April 3rd, 4th.
The more Savannah River brews you have, the better the podcast gets.
Well, I'm going to try to have a few. I can tell you that. I'll be able to get tuned up and walk right down the street to the establishment at which I'm staying for the next 8 days at the Masters golf tournament, which I cannot wait for, man. Watching the NCAA tournament and hearing the Masters previews and hearing the piano just give me the chills. There's nothing better. My favorite event to cover every year, and I can't wait to get there. It is a blessing of indescribable degree that Travis and I get to produce the official Masters podcast. We're changing it up a little bit this year. I'll explain that at Savannah River Brewing, how we're going to do the podcast this year for the wonderful folks at Augusta National Golf Club and the Masters Tournament. Cannot wait to get there. Please come out and say hi. We would love to hang out with you guys, and make sure to rate, review, and follow us. We are seeing more and more integration, more engagement from you guys. I love it. We love it. I'm trying very hard to engage in Twitter more as it pertains to the Marty Smith podcast. I don't read a whole lot of mentions, but I do see what y'all are saying because Laney and Travis keep me posted. I did see that a responder said to me, how do we know if this is you or we know this is somebody else?
Wait a second. Someone thinks that someone's just on here doing Marty Smith impressions?
No, they mean my Twitter feed.
Oh,
because
your
Travis
tweets.
and Laney both posted.
No, I don't know either.
Yes.
How do we know?
Travis tweets videos from.
Yeah, Travis tweets videos, and I feel like the verbiage used, you should be able to tell the difference, but maybe not. I want to read this review from LC in Florida. I've been a fan of Marty's since the early 90s NASCAR days, but since he started expanding his territory, it's just gotten better. Listening to Marty talking to all kinds of people is like hanging out with a really interesting friend who also has interesting friends. What celeb are you convinced that if you met them, you'd be friends? My answer is Marty. Well, thank you, LC. I really appreciate that. One thing that I'm just the same dude. I'm the same dude hanging out with my buddies at home as I am on the Marty Smith podcast and Marty and McGee. I don't know. I don't know any different. So thank you. That's awesome. Who would you say that person is for you, Wes? What celebrity are you convinced you'd be friends with? Matthew McConaughey.
I think Matthew and I would probably get along pretty well. Yeah. We talk Georgia and Texas, and we would probably have a lot of whiskey together. And I would probably just come out of that interaction just talking like him all the time. It would be like I don't know. I would just become the Georgia version of Matthew McConaughey, which would probably end poorly for me at home. I don't think that would go too well. So hopefully,
why your wife doesn't like your McConaughey?
Well, she didn't sign up to marry a guy that does Matthew McConaughey voice all the time.
She didn't.
No, not as far as I know.
You didn't woo your wife when you met your wife. You didn't go right into McConaughey or Donnie Chuggs, one of the two.
Now that would be a plot twist. If I met the woman of my dreams, Donnie Chuggs, will you come on down to the Coffee Town Jeweler and Dad Bod Fitness Center? We call it Uncut Gems.
See? That's all we need right there. I can't believe that she didn't get on a knee after you said that to her. I can't believe she didn't go, I got to lock this sumbitch up right now.
She got on a knee.
She gave me a ring. Lock it up.
Hey, what's Vivian's question? Do we have one, or do we just have an answer?
We have to discuss the answer to last week's. Hold on a minute. I got to read it exactly as it was posed. Daddy, when you were younger, Daddy, when you were younger, how did you listen to the song you wanted to hear? Because you didn't have Alexa. Here's how. All right. When I was like, I'm going to call it 11 or 12, 6th or 7th grade, Stacy, my sister, got a silver boombox for one of the gift-giving extravaganzas, whether it was her birthday or Christmas. I don't know which. I think Christmas. It was a dual-deck boombox. Every Sunday, Rick Dees played the weekly Top 40 on K92 FM, 92.3 FM, out of Roanoke, Virginia, was our pop/rock Top 40 station in Parisburg. and we would sit there, and whatever song it was, whatever the hot song was, whether it was Milli Vanilli, Blame It on the Rain, whether it was Ice Ice Baby by Vanilla Ice, whether it was It Takes Two, Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock, whatever it was, whatever those hits were, I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. Mr. Mister was the first. So when my sister got that tape deck, or pardon me, the boombox that had the dual tape decks, Rick D's in the Weekly Top 40 came on, and what you would do is you would put the cassette tape, into the tape deck, and you would have both hands prepared. You'd have these two fingers. You'd have the pointer finger and you'd have the middle finger ready to go. And as soon as you heard the first few bars of Blame It on the Rain, boom, you'd hit record and play at the same time. And that's how we got the song we wanted to hear. And then what you did was you would once you captured the gold, once you found the end of the rainbow, all your buddies wanted it because they were trying to do the same thing. So whoever had the best copy, you had to supply your own dub tape. You would give Bones, Joe Bear, or Scotty the dub tape, and then you could double tape it, and then you had a copy of a copy of a copy that you would listen to on your own boombox. That, Vivian, is how we listened to the songs we wanted to, or we just had to sit there and wait to hear it on the radio. We had I didn't have the means to listen to my own song until I was 42 years old when I discovered Spotify.
Wow.
Wes, you're how old are you again?
Yeah, 14
How old are
years
you
old.
again?
31.
Okay, so yeah, you're 14 years younger than me.
Do you
15 years younger than me.
Do you answer Vivian, or do you make her listen to the show to get the answer?
I answer her after I say it on the show.
Okay.
I don't make her deal with listening to the show. How did you do it, dude? Yeah, so you're 31.
You know, I
You
did
did
that.
probably-
How do you think I did it? Like, what would your guess
I'm sitting
be?
here trying to think. I mean, you had CDs,
Yeah.
right? So you probably listen to CDs.
I did that tape recorder thing one time. I called into the Larry Munson show and asked him a question and recorded it and tried to do that little record thing on my boombox. That's the only time I ever did that. Other than that, we had this little thing called Napster and Lime wires. And it destroyed my
Were you
parents'
part of the Napster
computer.
lawsuit, Wesley?
No, I haven't. No.
You haven't been caught yet?
No.
Well, now you're on the record as someone who was Metallica. No wonder Lars Ulrich.
Look, bro.
He hates you. You know that?
I didn't do that. It was my neighbor down the street. They had a very elaborate setup, and they had this stack of CDs, and they would make our Eminem CDs for us. They would make our, who else? Kid Rocks. They'd do it all, man. And I would just hop on down there. We'd listen, and I would get my mix of what I wanted to do.
I wonder what Kid Rock.
I didn't
I know
press
he
a button.
listens to the Marty Smith podcast. Guaranteed, no doubt he listens to the podcast. I wonder how he'll react to the fact that you stole "Ba with the Ba" off of the Napster.
Yeah, dude.
We don't have the rights to do that. We can't sing because we can't afford to sing to pay the royalties. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Wesley attempted once. It was a futile effort to tape himself on the Larry Munson show, and he was part of the Napster lawsuit. Lars Ulrich and Kid Rock are pissed at him. We simply stole the music from K92 with our dub tapes.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved that. There was something so cool. I love thinking back. I chase nostalgia. Anybody that knows anything about me knows that. I loved everything about that exercise. I loved like the anticipation of, all right, we've gotten to number 4. We're on at number, like last week they were number 6. I heard them 47 times this week on K92. I bet they jumped to 3 or 4. Let's get ready. And you were ready, man, with your Max L 90, ready to go. We have like, I don't know, 5 minutes left before I got to take Mia to the orthodontist. I got to go back to the carpool line and pick her up. What was your first tape and or CD? What was the first one you owned? You remember?
The first one that I broke that I listened to so much was Leonard Skinner's Greatest Hits.
No, that's a good one. You were raised right. So my sister got 2 tapes with her boombox. She got Mr. Mister, and she got Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. Those were the first two tapes that she got with that. We wore those tapes out. Kyrie, Broken Wings, all those songs on Mr. Mister's first record, and then they're Born in the USA is Born in the USA. I remember being at Vacation Bible School with the Walkman that I borrowed from a buddy of mine at school and never gave back. Totally took it. And I listened to Born in the USA walking around the Parisburg Baptist Church at Vacation Bible School on a loop. Still remember it like it was yesterday. That's the power of music. And we'll get into all that later. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe, follow, whatever you got to do. Look at that hat on Wesley's head. That's the Outsider Authentic Goods trucker hat. Make sure you go to shop.outsider.com. More and more people are asking me about our hats. A lot of people really like them. I took a photograph of myself on the selfie machine on the St. Patrick's Day with my Pit Boss grill. Put a picture of myself and my Pit Boss grill, my big KC combo on the Instagram machine. And I had on our Black Flag Outsider hat, and my phone, so many of my buddies wanted to know where they get it. Shop.outsider.com. Shop, S-H-O-P, .outsider.com. You can get that hat on Wesley's noggin. You can get the Black Flag. You can get the camo flag. You can get our camo trucker. We got a vast array. We got a cornucopia of options for you guys to choose from. Go on there and we got a beanie, which I don't have yet. I got to get one of those, especially since the warm weather's coming. Mm-hmm. What we need is a sun hat that I can wear at the Masters. Appreciate y'all listening. Thank you so much to our law enforcement officials all over the country, working hard as hell to keep our community safe. We appreciate fire and rescue, our first responders. Thank you. Really appreciate the United States military. Thank you guys for sacrificing every single day to keep us free. We are grateful. Have a great week, everybody. Hopefully you didn't get too much dumber listening to that dribble. This is the Marty Smith Podcast at Outsider. Have a great week.